Hello, and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. My name is Cecilia, and on behalf of OTC Markets, we're very pleased you've joined us for our next live presentation from Stallion Uranium Corp. Please note, you can submit questions in the box to the left of the slides. You can also view company's availability for one-on-one meetings through the Schedule Meetings tab found on the conference platform. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome Drew Zimmerman, Chief Executive Officer of Stallion Uranium, which trades on the OTCQB venture market under the symbol STNLF and on the TSXV under the symbol STUD. Welcome, Drew.
Thank you, Cecilia, and thank you everybody for being here today. My name is Drew Zimmerman, as you mentioned, with Stallion Uranium. It's an incredibly exciting time in the uranium space, so great to have this forum, Clean Energy Metals Conference, to be able to present, and thank you all for being here today. So, as I just mentioned right now, and highlighted by the recent news over the weekend, the net zero to in 2050 is a key target that the whole world is really looking towards. And I think what makes this so exciting was over the weekend, we had 22 different nations pledge to triple their nuclear capacity by 2050. Now, this is a very important thing as we move towards zero CO2 emissions by 2050. But the important thing for us as Uranium Explorer is it really shows that there's going to be an incredible amount of demand for uranium as we continue to move forward. Already, the industry is in a structural undersupplied market, but we really need to grow where we're going with nuclear. So not only those 22 nations, but the rest of the globe, we think needs to do a lot of work to get to net zero by 2050. And again, we're getting into an economy that's becoming more and more electrified, and that just takes a lot of electricity. And again, that source of electricity is very, very important. So going forward, we want to see more of that be a uranium supplied nuclear power. And when you look at this chart put out earlier this year by the World Nuclear Association, that top line used to be one of their sort of upper scenarios of demand. And that's becoming more and more the base case for uranium demand. And as you can see, a considerable supply deficit that we have in this market right now. So again, already with only 436 nuclear reactors globally, 60 under construction, we have a significant shortfall of uranium. And that's where, a junior explorer like Stallion Uranium really comes into play. Not only do we need more development coming online, but we need the junior explorers to find those next big deposits, because those big monster deposits just aren't being found. And not only do we have, the current deposits being developed, but we need that next sort of supply chain pipeline ready to go. And that's where a company like Stallion Uranium comes in, because we are looking for those next significant uranium deposits. That's been our whole strategy from the start. And with this uranium market, we know that the uranium price is going to stay high. It's going to incentivize us to be those big explorers. And again, if we're able to find a deposit, an incredibly lucrative business to be in right now. So if you're going to be looking for uranium, we think the Athabasca Basin is, bar none, the best place in the world to be looking. It's the highest grade large uranium deposits anywhere in the world, and by a significant margin, over 20 times the average grade of the other big producers globally. And when you look at the economics for junior explorer, always very important. We're looking at it, if you want to compare it to gold, at $2,000 an ounce gold for comparison, and at $70 per pound uranium, and we're over 80 right now. That would be like mining a 370 gram per ton gold mine. I mean, that's over 10 times the highest average grade producing gold mine right now. So again, for a junior explorer that's looking for a commodity, you want that commodity to have incredible economics, and the potential to find those big deposits in the basin is there. That gives incredible upside if you're able to make a discovery. And that's really what we're going after, is that next big discovery in the basin. One, because it's an incredibly economic thing to be doing, but two, we also need it. We need this uranium supply globally to be able to keep moving towards a more green nuclear powered future. So with that, Stallion is made up of team members that have had an incredible vision to continue to create shareholder value in the Athabasca Basin. The first project that they had was Hathor Exploration. The three of them, including Stephen Stanley, who's on our board of advisors, he was the first CEO of Hathor. They put together Hathor Exploration, found the Rough Rider deposit in the Eastern Basin, and sold that to Rio Tinto in 2012 for $650 million, one of the bigger Canadian mining transactions at that time, a significant exit for all the shareholders there. Next, they put in some of the foundational assets to NextGen Energy, remain significant shareholders of NextGen, really believe what NextGen's doing in developing their Rook 1 project. They also vended in the assets to Atha Energy, a significant landholder in the Athabasca Basin. So this is a team that really understands creating value in the Athabasca Basin and has been able to execute on that several times over. And for us, having them own almost 30% of Stallion gives me, especially as CEO, an incredible base of shareholders that have that long-term vision of how do we create the most value that we can in the basin over the next 2, 3, 5 years. And again, it's a roadmap that they've followed. It's a roadmap they've executed on, and great for us to be having them as key shareholders as we move forward. So our strategy throughout the Athabasca Basin has been to build out a very big land position. We think that gives us the best opportunity to be looking for the next big deposit. As you can see, it's a very busy space already in the Athabasca Basin, but because we started this process over a year and a half ago, we were able to build up a good sized land position at very attractive rates when the Athabasca Basin wasn't getting the attention that it's getting these days. I mean, it's really picked up even over the last several months with the uranium prices going higher. But another key focus on this map is our bigger land position in the Western Athabasca. And that is Stallion's focused. We think that's the underexplored side of the basin where we think we have the potential to unearth the next big discovery in the basin that will really move the needle in a significant way. Oops, wrong way. Our thesis of that is when you look at the land package that we've put together, the depths that we're looking at are sort of that 300 to 1,000 meters below the surface. So when you look over at the eastern side of the basin, again, they've been exploring the eastern side for decades longer than they have on the west. But on the eastern side, it started shallower, just like it has on the west. We've got the Triple R and the Arrow deposit right nearer surface, or starting nearer surface anyways. And then it wasn't until, decades later in the east, after they found the original deposits, that they started going deeper into the basin, deeper into the sandstone, and were able to find Cigar Lake, MacArthur River, Griffin, Phoenix. Over 1 billion pounds of uranium was found at that deeper depth. So that's what Stallion's done. We've taken that next land position that's into the basin. So our land position is completely in the sandstone, which gives us the potential for perched uranium deposits, unconformity deposits, and basement hosted deposits, all three uranium deposit types. But the key thing is in the west, this is the underexplored area of the basin that we think has the potential to host that next massive discovery that could be your next Cigar Lake, your next MacArthur. So that's where we're looking right now. And we think the west is just the analog of the east, just delayed in time. So we're out there doing the work that we can to bring that forward and find that next big deposit. The other key thing for us, the west is underexplored. And that's, I think, attributable largely to the fact that when these big discoveries were made, when Triple R was made, when Arrow was made, that was when uranium prices started to roll over. So there wasn't that incentive to go out there and explore this area. We know there's a significant amount of uranium there because of those deposits. And especially, this time last year, F3 just had their high-grade discovery hole. We know there's uranium in this area. It just hasn't been explored. And that's because the market conditions weren't there a decade ago to incentivize that exploration effort. So Stallion's gone out there now, taking on this big land package that's in the basin, looking for that next big deposit. And the other good thing for us is in the west, we're looking at the development of the Rook 1, of the Triple R. So there's going to be over $1 billion being spent in this area, infrastructure getting built out. So the exploration is going to become easier. It's going to become more efficient down the road. If we do find the discovery that we're looking for, they're going to be building a mill in the western side of the basin that doesn't exist right now. So there's a lot going on the western side of the basin that we think sort of will bring up the area and really make it that much more attractive for further exploration and hopefully further discovery of uranium. And we're following a roadmap, not only in the western side of the basin, but just in the basin in general. I mean, they've been exploring in the Athabasca for over 60 years. So Stallion doesn't need to go out and recreate the exploration wheel. We know how it works. So we're following that roadmap and what's worked best, not only in the last couple of years, but in the last decade or two, especially in the western side of the basin, being able to take those analogs, take those same surveys, really hone in on what we're looking for. So even though we're starting on ground that's very fresh, we're able to move very, very quickly and efficiently because of what we've learned from all the companies that have been exploring, especially in the western side of the basin in the last 20 years, be able to take that data and extrapolate it and understand what we're looking at and focus in on the key target areas that we have. So it starts with our strategy being a very large land package, doing a big regional survey, and then start to hone in on certain target areas that have the best potential with all that data that we've had and been able to model. And that's what we're doing right now. So originally, Stallion has our 100% owned ground, several projects in the western side of the basin. At the beginning of this year, we've flown a regional survey over that already. This is our coffer project here, so a very prospective project for us right along the western side of the Clearwater domain. We think that's a key geological element in the area that caused the heating and movement of uranium mineralization in the area. You've got the Patterson Lake trend just to the south of it, and now you've got the new F3 discovery just to the north of it. So again, pushing that uranium mineralization out to either side is our key thesis of this area. So having our big coffer project, not only is it right next to Shea Creek, right up at the north, but just along the edge of the Clearwater domain, we think makes it very prospective. And with that regional survey, we've been able to highlight 3 key target areas that we want to go after. The north target, our Appaloosa target, is one of the key target areas that we're focusing in on right away. We'll be working towards doing a ground geophysical survey there. So again, starting that strategy very wide, focusing in, doing a much tighter resolution survey. Oh, sorry, just let me move real quick. Sorry, lights went out. Doing a tighter survey to allow us to really target those drill holes the very best that we can. So very happy to be advancing this project. Our other project that we'd flown the regional survey on that we really like was our Gunter Lake project. It's a little bit further south, near the edge of the basin, not quite as deep. Similar analogs to the geology that we're seeing more at the Patterson Lake trend. So as you can see, the Patterson Lake trend's just to the west of this project. So we've been able to pull out a key target that we like here. This is our Coyote target right at the south end. It also, as you can see, goes off of our project here, but goes on to our ATHA joint venture project that we'll talk about on the next slide. But again, really being able to lean into the geology of the area and the understanding that we have from all the work that's been done on the Patterson Lake trend to be able to take that and really focus in on these key target areas that we have. So again, part of our strategy will be to take more advanced survey stages on this Coyote target as well as we move forward. Now, our next big regional survey that we have going right now, as we've announced, we're doing a mobile MT survey overall, 220,000 hectares. So again, a significant land position. And what we're looking at here, as you can see, that shaded area, that's our ATHA joint ventures. This does not have a single drill hole on it. And most of this land has not been explored effectively ever. So we're looking at that sort of next stage in the basin, if you remember from the earlier slide, where we think there's the ability to host significant uranium deposits, but it just hasn't effectively been explored. And you can see on this map, those conductive corridors, those are those little gray lines. They don't just stop at the property boundaries. That would be like saying a river just stopped if you stop mapping it. And that's essentially what has happened here. They've just stopped mapping because they haven't done the surveys. So we're going out there to do those surveys. We're incredibly excited to get the conductive corridors that would go across this property and present us, we think, with several new high priority target areas that, again, we think could host those next significant uranium discoveries. Yes, they are a little deeper. We're aware of that. But again, it's definitely worth it when you're finding these high grade, high pound uranium deposits. And we think this is where they are. And by looking somewhere where people have not effectively looked ever, that's what we think gives us a tremendous amount of upside. So we've got this survey going right now. It's hopefully going to wrap up in the next several weeks, weather depending. It is northern Saskatchewan. There is winter weather there, but the team is working hard on this survey, and then we'll be able to announce that data acquisition phase when it's done, and as we move into the modeling to be able to get those key target areas from this ATHA joint venture project. I just want to touch on, again, the economics of the basin and why it's so exciting to be a junior explorer here. So this is just really giving you a roadmap of what is possible in the basin, right from other junior exploration companies, F3 Uranium, which, like I say, this time last year was a 20 million market cap, just like ourselves. And with one high grade discovery hole, went to 150 million market cap in 3 weeks. And that was when uranium prices were, $45, $48 a pound. We're above $80 a pound right now. I think it's also important to take a step back and realize that NextGen Energy, a decade ago, now a $4.5 billion company, was a junior exploration company just like Stallion. So you're able to really create a significant amount of value in the basin if you're able to make the discoveries. And that's what we've set up our strategy to do, is to give ourselves the absolute best opportunity to make that next big significant uranium discovery. And again, following a roadmap to execute on that strategy is what we're doing right now. So it's an incredibly exciting time, one, in the entire uranium market, but two, with the strategy and the roadmap that we have laid out and the key steps that we have coming really in the near term future. So very, very excited to have some key steps coming in the Athabasca Basin. Like I said, we're going to be launching that on the ground survey near term on our Appaloosa target. That leads us into what will be our maiden drill program, we're hoping in Q1 of 2024. So incredibly excited to be able to have more advanced work on our 100% owned ground. And then again, this regional survey that we've done, creating that many more targets moving forward in the Athabasca Basin. So a very exciting time coming up for Stallion in the uranium space in the Athabasca Basin. However, another key highlight, again, very timely this weekend, was gold prices hitting all-time highs. It's uncertainty out there in the world right now with geopolitical events, with where central banks are, where rates have gone to, where inflation's at, keeping a very strong price of gold. And a key advantage for our investors right now is we do have two key gold assets within Stallion Uranium. They haven't been a big CapEx focus of ours and will remain so for the near term because of the projects and their upside ability without us having to put a lot of capital into them. So our first gold project that we picked up was our Horse Heaven project. It's in central Idaho, right next to Perpetua Resources. Perpetua is about to be one of the largest independent open pit gold mines in the United States. 6.5 million ounces of gold. They're looking for their record of decision to be able to build that mine and mill in the near term and in the beginning of next year. So that's going to be a very exciting time, not only for the state of Idaho, but for Perpetua Resources. And again, our project being right next door. So this is a key project that had historical drilling on it. We know there's shallow oxide gold. We've mapped a 2.8 kilometer strike length structure, anomalous gold throughout. And most recently, if you've been following our news at all, we also put out news on our secondary target where we've done some grab sampling and structural mapping. Again, high grade gold and antimony. So antimony is a key feature of both of these projects because there is no antimony production in the United States and it is a critical mineral. So for us, we had historical antimony production during the war times. About 60 rail cars of antimony were mined off of that secondary site that I'm talking about. It's named Antimony Ridge. But again, this is a key project for us that we're moving towards being drill ready. We've got a mapped out program of 19 drill pads to be able to test that Golden Gate Fault Zone, as well as we're going to do some more structural mapping and grab sampling on that secondary antimony target. But especially with gold prices where they're going, this project is incredibly exciting. And we think the catalyst being that big record decision right next door can really propel a lot of value for this project and for our shareholders. We followed the similar sort of thinking when we picked up our Richmond Mountain project. It was right next to an absolute world-class asset when we were able to pick this up from EMX Royalty. It's right next to I-80's Ruby Hill project. At the time, gold prices were depressed. I-80 wasn't doing a lot of work there. Since, obviously, we've seen gold prices do a lot better, but we've seen absolute incredible success from I-80 and their exploration drilling at I-80 at Ruby Hill. They found new CRD mineralization, which is high grade zinc, lead, and silver, as well as incredible gold grades. And one of the key features for us on this project was a big intrusion right between the two projects. They drilled into that intrusive complex this summer. In August, they put out the results. High grade gold and silver, 45 gram per ton gold and 55 gram per ton silver over 18 meters into that intrusive complex. So our thinking was that intrusive complex was the key mineralizing event, or one of the key mineralizing events in the area, and why we picked up this project. So we've advanced it with a geophysical survey that we did this summer. We're still modeling that. That's the similar survey that I-80 ran on, or the exact same survey actually that I-80 ran on their project this summer as well. So again, getting data that we think can really show that the mineralization continues from where that pit is on I-80 side over to the eastern side where our project is. And again, with all the success that they've had earlier this spring, I-80 bought out Paycore Minerals for roughly 105 million Canadian to extend this district play. We think if we have that mineralization on our side, this district can be that much bigger. And again, it's just very rich with what they're finding with their new exploration drilling. So incredible work down here in Nevada, but again, two gold assets that really give us that other commodity, that other edge in the company that we think, will provide a lot of value for our shareholders. And we're continuing to evaluate the best way to advance these projects and give our shareholders a significant amount of upside that we think these projects offer. So exciting to see them moving forward. But again, I do want to focus on the fact that our key focus is on the uranium in the Athabasca Basin. That's where our time, energy, and capital is going right now. But with that, I'll jump into the team real quick. For our gold assets, we've got Bill Breen, been a geologist for almost 45 years, knows everybody in Idaho and Nevada, an incredible guy to have down there. In the Athabasca, we've got Darren Slagowski. He spent a decade in the Athabasca Basin and 7 of those years with Pure Point Uranium working on the Spitfire deposit. So again, one of the key features that Darren brings to the team is that very good knowledge of running a drill program in the Western Athabasca, given that is where our huge focus is. So incredibly lucky to have Darren on the team. And then we've also got Stephen Stanley, somebody who's followed through on this roadmap that Stallion wants to take. So having that insight and that knowledge is huge for us to know what to do in the Athabasca Basin and how to execute on the strategy that we have. We also have Jay Martin, runs the Vancouver Resource Investment Conference. He knows the resource space. He knows what investors are looking for. He's got his fingers on the pulse there, and his Rolodex is unmatched. So a huge help for us to have a person like Jay on the board as well. Our share structure, we're about 109 million shares outstanding. So just over 20 cents. We're just over a 20 million market cap. At the moment, we think providing incredible potential in the Athabasca alone, and then you put on the optionality of 2 great gold assets that we're looking to advance for our shareholders as well. So some incredible upside, we think, with both of the commodity sectors that we're in doing incredibly well. But again, just the economics and the advancement that we're doing in the Athabasca Basin, we think providing an incredible opportunity for our shareholders. So again, just to really wrap it up, our whole strategy has been to go after that next big, massive deposit. We've done that right from day one with how we've built out this company and the projects that we've been able to get into the company. And now we're really in that exciting stage as we take them from the early exploration efforts, those more regional efforts, into more advanced drilling that can really, make that big discovery that we've been looking for. So an incredibly exciting time for us in markets that are doing very, very well in respect to both uranium and gold. So it's going to be an exciting next several months for us, and we're really looking forward to it. But before we run out of time, I wanted to take a few questions here. So I'll just take a quick look at the questions that have been coming in. A good question always comes up, what our capital position is as we head into 2024. So in October, we did just close a $3.3 million financing. 2.2 of that was flow through dollars, 1.1 in hard dollars. That's funded a lot of the work that we have laid out right now. So again, that big regional survey where we're covering 2,200 square kilometers with 2 helicopters in the air, that's fully financed by that financing that we've done. We also have that on the ground survey that we're looking to be starting very shortly on our Appaloosa target. That will be financed as well. And as we go into the beginning of next year, we do have the money to keep going. Being able to bring out a more robust drilling program would likely need another financing. We're able to do probably a skinny one with the finances that we have right now. But again, financed into the end of this year and into the beginning of next year. And we'll be opportunistic with the future financings that are available to us. But again, a good amount of work that we've got in our pipeline and paid for already. Another good question here is, how do you see the M&A in the uranium space? Again, that was part of our strategy from the beginning, was being able to build out the land portfolio that we have. We've got over 3,000 square kilometers in the Athabasca Basin. So we've gotten a very big position, and we're already seeing, some inbound calls from other companies that are looking to get into the basin. Again, it is the best real estate in the world when you're looking for uranium, and we need to find a lot more uranium. I think that's going to incentivize more companies coming into the basin. So I think you'll see further new companies come into the basin. I think you're likely going to see, existing companies, and especially those mid-tier and producing or developing companies that have had a lot of appreciation in their share price, where the juniors have been a little slower to get going. So those cheaper companies or less valued companies right now, I think are a bit of a target for the companies that have better access to capital and better cost of capital right now. So I do think it's going to be an exciting time in the basin as you see more companies coming in and the potential for further M&A in the space. Just one more question, I guess, before we run out of time here, was your roadmap for 2024. So again, as we go into the end of this year, we'll be wrapping up that big regional survey in the Athabasca Basin. Incredibly excited for the results that we're going to have from that, because again, the first time that 2,200 square kilometers is being explored effectively. Really looking forward to that. As we go into the end of this year, that first on the ground survey that will allow us that higher resolution look to be able to set our drill targets. And then as we go into 2024, our key focus is going to be that maiden drill program. Again, understanding that the ability to have just a significant re-rate on a drill program, and we think, the ability to hit, hopefully, a sniff, if not more than that, of a uranium discovery is really what our shareholders are asking of us, and how we're setting ourselves up. So excited to be able to kick that part of our strategy off in the near term. And then again, with the gold assets, we think there's an incredible amount of value there. And again, especially with gold coming to new all-time highs. So we're continuing to evaluate the best ways to see those projects get advanced and see that value come to our shareholders. Because again, we think there's a significant amount of value in those gold assets that's not being realized right now. And again, the potential of what we're doing in the Athabasca Basin itself to give us a significant re-rate from where we are right now, especially with a market that continues to do better. Again, more news. It seems like every other week we're seeing just absolute incredible bullish news in the uranium sector. So very happy to be wrapping it up with that. But thank you very much to hear the Stallion story. Please feel free to reach out if you have any further questions. It's a very exciting time for what we have going in the next several months, and incredibly happy to be in this space and doing the work that we're doing. And again, very excited to be moving forward. And thank you again for your time. Appreciate it.